Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick, flying solo. So the Warriors, they just beat the Bucks 125-111 just watched it. And the Warriors are now one game above 500 at 27-26. And this is the second game of the Jimmy Butler era. And things still feel pretty darn good. I mean, first off, got to say that this Milwaukee Bucks team obviously didn't have Giannis, and that's a big deal. That's a totally different team. It's almost like they were playing the Portland Trailblazers back in the day when Steph used to own them all the time, except, you know, instead of a bunch of athletic dudes, they have a bunch of just bruiser types on the Bucks as opposed to the old school Blazers. But, you know, it's fascinating watching this because when Jimmy Butler join the Warriors, it's like, you think about it, right? Yeah, he's like 35 going on 36 and he's older and whatever. And I've talked about how great of just an all-around player he is. He does everything except shoot threes. He does everything besides that pretty darn well. And, you know, looking at him, it's like, what? He's probably third, fourth, maybe second. No, I won't say that. Third or fourth best teammate Steph has had. Granted, like, he's older, so he's not like prime KD, not prime Clay. And it's kind of interesting, right? Because there are all these negative vibes about Jimmy Butler because he hadn't played in a while and he's often injured. And that could still come and bite the Warriors on the butt because Jimmy Butler in this game took a couple brutal fouls and landed on the ground a couple times, and you just don't want to see him get hurt at this point, like Anthony Davis over in Dallas after one game. He's out for several weeks. Good job, Nico Harrison. But Jimmy Butler, it's just fun to see what this Warriors team is becoming. And again, you know, people keep telling me that the Warriors need this, that. They need like a defensive center. They need, more three-point shooting. But yeah, this is not a perfect roster, but it is way better than what it was before because now you have more defined roles. You don't go 12, 13 deep. And it's clear that you have the top three dudes in Steph, Butler, and Draymond. And then everybody else is supporting them. And then you have the young guys who are up and coming and playing better. Like Moody's playing better. Pajewski, he's been playing better since he got back from injury. But I got a lot of points, so I'm going to try to get through them pretty quickly. A couple things, like Butler is seeming to have this effect on not just the Steph, but like the whole team. With Steph, again, it's just been 2 games, but he seems energized, right? Because there is somebody now that can take those non-Steph minutes. And, sometimes it's a mental burden to know that you're always going to have to bring the team back if you lose a lead or if you're way behind. He's talked throughout the season about how they're just not built to come back from big deficits. And again, these are just 2 games against not good squads on the court. But now they have something. They have somebody who can get the tough twos and to the free throw line. And that the Warriors, they struggled getting any kind of buckets when they couldn't hit threes. They didn't have anybody dependably that could go get it to. They didn't have a post-up guy. Kuminga could attack, but he's still inconsistent. Wiggins inconsistent with effort and his shot around the basket. But Butler, even though he didn't shoot well in this one, 4 for 12 only, dude got to the free throw line 15 times. That's 28 times in 2 games. He's 12 for 15. Steph got to the line 9 times, 8 for 9. And I guarantee you Steph doesn't get to the line 9 times if Butler doesn't pump up the foul count, right? Like some of those from Steph were because the Warriors were in the bonus, and that's because of Jimmy Butler forcing the issue. That's a small detail about this team that I've talked about before, that I talked about over the years, that they didn't have, right? Kuminga can get to the line, but he is still inconsistent, shooting like maybe 60, 70% area from the free throw line. So this is somebody that is very, very dependable. Butler seems to also be having this effect on Hield. Hield seems really happy if you watch games, really happy to be playing with Jimmy Butler. He's just really hyped. And, that could be because he just likes Jimmy Butler. Maybe they know each other, but also like Jimmy Butler frees up Hield a little bit more, right? Now the Warriors, they start definitely like 3 connector types. I'd mentioned that Butler is a connector, but maybe not as good as Draymond. But like he's as good, right? He knows how to pass. He knows how to play this game. He knows how to look for guys. He knows how to get guys going. He knows how to look for the hot hand, and he knows when to go to the basket and get a shot or get to the line. So these are things that allow Hield to move freely. Butler knows how to find Hield, so that's just another guy that can get him the ball when and where he needs it. And I'd mentioned this on like Twitter or The Athletic in the comments and stuff, but like sometimes I like to go in there and just posit some theories of mine just to see what people say. But it's clear to me that Kuminga, when he comes back, and Moody right now, that there's going to be a huge benefit to having Jimmy Butler around because, those guys are wings, right? Moody drafted as a 2 guard. Everybody's talking about how he's more of a power forward because he's slow-footed, but he's broad-shouldered and he has long arms and whatever. But either way, like he kind of gives those guys another look in terms of another veteran to maybe emulate or just see as a kind of role model on the team, right? Because you have Steph, nicest guy in the world, and just a true professional, humble, whatever, soft-spoken. And then you have Draymond, who's just blustery and ridiculous. And so, Jimmy Butler is just tough, and he's under control. And he's just seems like a bad dude out there. And I think that is actually somebody that those guys, especially Kuminga, because he has the athleticism, he has the ability to kind of pick some of Jimmy Butler's game and use it for his own, right? Like Jimmy Butler does that drop step, turnaround jumper, and I think that's going in. Kuminga, sometimes it goes in, but like Kuminga's still like a couple years away if he keeps improving from that being like a go-to shot, something where you're like, okay, he's going to do that and it's going to go in. Butler, I feel like it'll go in. And obviously Butler has 14 years on him in life. So, it'll be good. It'll be good. And I'm really, really like excited for Kuminga to get out there and see what happens. And when I talk about Butler being a connector, he's almost like Andre out there, but better, right? Because he can do more than Andre could towards the end of his career. Like Andre didn't want to shoot, of course, and his 3 was also very inconsistent, but he had no desire to score. He had more of a desire to pass. He was more like Draymond in that way. But just having that guy who's like this 6'6", 6'7", strong, can do all the other little things, but also score. And the beauty of someone like Jimmy Butler, when there's those minutes without Steph, you can put Butler in and he can, also settle a team down. He's not a point guard, but he can handle and he can command the flow of a game and he can score. So it's kind of like 2 in 1, you know what I mean? Like I'm saying, all around basketball player, and it's just kind of a pleasure to see, fun to see. That's nice to have, right? It's almost like, dang, do we really got this dude? And again, there's a reason why we got him on the cheap, because he can be a pain in the ass to his team, his teammates, the front office, whatever, and he can also be hurt. So those are things that we have to watch out for, right? The gamble with DeAnthony Melton was that he's often injured, and guess what? He got hurt. So these things tend to gravitate towards the mean, but hopefully the thing is, I was just talking to my brother today, and I was like, hey, at least there's 30 games left in the season and not 50, because I don't know if Jimmy Butler could get through 50 consecutive games with rest here and there. 30, I think he could into the playoffs. So this is a good potential start. Quinten Post, what's the deal with this kid? We were all talking ahead of time about getting Vucevic, and then Post get some minutes a few weeks before the trade deadline. We're like, oh, maybe this guy. And then we realized that maybe we shouldn't trade for Vucevic because he's just not that great. And he didn't look great when the Warriors played him in the last game. And Post, I mean, the kid hit, 15 minutes, 4 for 5, 3 for 4 from 3, 13 points, 11, plus 11 off the bench, 2 for 2 from the line, 4 boards, 1 assist. I mean, come on. I'll take that over Vucevic, largely because we get to keep Looney and Peyton for what they're worth, including not just on the court, but also their expiring salaries to potentially sign Kuminga over the summer. But also Vucevic had another year on his contract. So let's see Post, and we all love homegrown talent, and the kid is confident. And I'll be honest, I love how hyped that kid gets after he hits 1 or 2 threes. When he hits a third three, it's lights out. That kid is screaming, throwing 3 fingers up and all that stuff. So it's fun. Yeah, I just like the vibes around this team, just clear defined roles, clear direction, rotation, all that stuff. It's not so convoluted, and just lines drawn. And I think that's what this team needs in order to move forward. Again, take it one game at a time, game by game. And, we'll see how it ends up. Hopefully they get on a bit of a streak coming up before the break, the All-Star break. They have 1-2 more games at Dallas, at Houston. So those will be interesting challenges. Dallas, I think they could take, especially since they've just had their soul pulled out and crushed into tiny little pieces with the Luka trade and the AD injury. And then the Rockets, that's always going to be a fun one because that team is up and coming, but they got some young dudes, and I would like to see how Butler plays against some of these younger dudes with that athleticism, you know what I mean? Like the Amen Thompson types and whatnot. So, it's going to be good. And also, like I said, there's just a bunch more smart, connective type players on the court with the Warriors. You look out there and you'll see Steph and Pajemski and Butler and Draymond, and you're like, oh, these guys, for the most part, Pajemski still makes his young guy mistakes, but those guys are smart basketball players and they pass. And, again, Butler just has this vibe that helps the rest of the team be more assertive, especially the young dudes. I think he just has a very, very good effect on them, and I think it'll pay dividends in the long run for their development and even the rest of this season. And also, not to get too ahead of ourselves, but we do have to look at the standings, and the Warriors are currently 9th, and they are only, as of now, I'm sure there's games to be played this evening, but they're 16 and a half out, but they're only 2.5 games behind the Clippers for the 6th spot. And that's the golden spot because you're out of the play-in. But again, there's a long way to go before we decide anything or make any declarations about this team. Other than that, they have a good vibe and they're trending in a really good direction, entertaining direction, fun direction. And it's just about moving forward, going on to that. So yeah, I'm sure there's other things I forgot to talk about, but I'm going to cut it there. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.